Hello, this is Pastor Roland. Today I want to talk a bit more about recovery from trauma. And I said that the whole human race was born of trauma in the Garden of Eden. The trauma, the greatest trauma of all time, the separation from God. See, we humans are made in the image and likeness of God. And so we are like chips off the old block. We're supposed to be chips off the old block. Okay? And if so, then we wouldn't be like animals. Instead, we would be noble, virtuous, principled, honorable, patient, wise, long-suffering, courageous, all of that. I remember a long time ago there used to be a television show called The Outer Limits. I don't know if you remember. It's called The Outer Limits. And there was this one particular program. There was about a man who somehow was able to become smarter and smarter and smarter. And so he became smarter and smarter and smarter and more powerful to the point that he could just think that someone would get knocked down and they would get knocked down. See what I mean? That sort of thing. Or if someone came after him, then he would just think that they couldn't reach him, and then they would come up against the invisible wall and they couldn't touch him. He became a mega genius with power. And then finally there was a scene where somebody did something to him, and then that other person somehow said, well, I guess you're going to get me now or kill me or something. And then he said no. He said, I've evolved to the point now that I see that any kind of hatred or anger or retaliation is folly. And he had evolved beyond all of that, you see. Well, we humans, we don't need to evolve. Well, you see, what happened is we fell away from that. See, the whole thing is just the opposite of what you're being taught. You're being taught that somehow humans evolved from apes or monkeys or an amoeba, but in fact, at one time, see, Adam and Eve had the potential not only to live forever, but to benefit in every way possible from their close relationship to God. Okay? And so in his image and likeness, they could then be, they could receive from him wisdom, understanding. See, they could receive from him those things. Well, then they would be the most perfect creature of all. They would be the human being upon the earth with a body at part heaven and part earth, part spiritual, part natural. A beautiful being of grace and dignity and wisdom upon the earth. See, but we fell away from that. And so we fell to being very lowly creatures. You look at people, and it's kind of like what? With people, it's kind of like what they're going to eat and what's on TV and gossiping. He said that to her and she said this to him, and shopping and putting other people down and drinking and smoking marijuana. And see, we've fallen to a very low level, many people. Like animals, or even worse than animals. And so you see the nature of this separation, of this trauma. Well, that's what we inherit. That's why we're all a bit uneasy about the bodies that we drag around. We have a natural modesty bit of embarrassment about our body functions and so on is perfectly natural because it's nothing to be proud of. Okay, it's not something to condemn either. It's not to be condemned or condoned. It's to be understood. We need to understand our fallen nature. But the point is, and then in our fallen state, we become subject to chance. We become subject to jungle laws and subject to other people. See, without love, without understanding. And ultimately, we're subject to evil, who's in charge of this fallen earth. And so, our allegiance then, unless we have a change of heart and a change of mind, is to that which supports pride. And even when we hate those people who challenge and tease us, nevertheless, that challenge and tease is what goads us on. So we struggle and fight and try to claw our way over the next person until we die. See, it's not a very pretty picture. Fortunately, there is a salvation from all of this, which is what Christ came for. He was the man who never failed. See, all women have known are failing men, beginning with her father, and all other men have failed. But he's a man that never failed. You can see now why the women that were around Jesus, like Martha and Mary Magdalene, those types of people, why they loved him. Because he was a man of love. He never used them, never took advantage of them. He loved and respected them as persons, not as objects of use. See? All right. So how then can this trauma be undone? Well, the trauma can be undone when you can begin to step back. See, so what we do is then we escape into things. Hypnosis is partially our subjectivity to spoken word and to other people and to outside circumstances, which I discussed in the first 3 videos, especially the first 2 videos on this topic of trauma. But hypnosis is also how we escape. See, we cannot bear unless you have a change of heart and you're willing to know the truth regardless of the consequences. You want to know the truth, and you just don't want to go on living a lie and living in the dog-eat-dog world of hating other people, them hating you and you hating them and all that kind of stuff. You just don't want that anymore. Well, with that kind of an attitude, then with God's help, with His grace and His light, He permits you to be able to stand back and observe, okay, without reacting to what you see. The nature of things, it's not a pretty picture. But now you're able to see it in the greater light of truth, And knowing that the truth is there showing you, you don't mind seeing it. Because you know that the wrong and the error and the bad that you are observing, you're observing it in the light of that which is good, and that which is noble, and that which is true, and that which is of love. You see what I mean? Okay, it's like holding your daddy's hand. There's something scary outside at night. You say, Daddy, there's something scary at my window. Daddy says, well, let's go look. So Daddy takes your hand, and you're holding Daddy's hand, and now you're not scared anymore. See, because Daddy is with you. And he takes you to where it is, and he said, well, what it is, it's the branches of the trees. It's windy outside, and the branches of the trees are waving around, and they're brushing up against the window and making a noise. Oh, okay, Daddy. See, Daddy, with Daddy there, it's okay. So when you see what is wrong about yourself, see, but the average person is unwilling and actually could not bear to see the truth about themselves. They could not bear it. Their ego could not stand to see the truth about themselves, or to bear the pain and shame of in the light of what is good. See? and noble to see their own disgustingness, pridefulness, and you see what I mean? So the average person, that's why people don't like truth. That's why whistleblowers are persecuted. See, that's why people who speak the truth are often, there's, in a family, you can have a family of everybody going around and pretending that everything is wonderful, but there's one child that sees that things aren't wonderful. He sees people for what they are, the little child, see, and the others cannot bear to be seen in the light of the innocent eyes of the child. So that child is often um, rejected, beaten up, see, or even worse, see, around the world. The innocent eyes of a child, people cannot bear to be observed. So people don't want to be observed in the light of truth, and so they flee the truth and they escape into things. They escape into their food, into their work, into their substances, into their rituals, into their music. So when you go to the most degenerate cultures, you see there they are with their music, and they're just dancing out there. See, they're vegetating, and then they are getting into their music because that's their escape from seeing the truth about how low they are. See? Well, we in America now, we're falling to that stage ourselves. But the more guilty you are, until you are willing to face the truth, the more you will want to escape. So people escape, and then they escape into their problems, into their health problems, and their relationship problems, their financial problems, everything they used to escape into. But if you, at a certain point in time, you wish to return to what is good and what is true and what is noble, then you're willing to face the truth, then you are given by God the light in which lights, and he permits you to stand back. And that's what the meditation is a proper technique. It's all it is a little technique, a little mechanism. It's very simple, but it for the person who's ready to face the truth, it is helpful because it helps you to stand back and look at things instead of escaping into them. To look at them instead of escaping into them, and to look at them without overreacting to what you see. So now there's a little bit of distance. You have some objectivity. See, you can see how objectivity, for example, a doctor or a counselor, a helper of some sort. When people come with their problems, that counselor, that doctor, see, or that plumber, that mechanic, see, cannot overreact to what is being told to him by the person. Can't overreact and become all emotional, see, and instead he needs or she needs a professional distance, to look at things objectively in order to solve problems. And that's what you need. See, you can solve other people's problems, or at work sometimes you're very clever at solving other people's issues, but when it comes to your own issues and your family issues, you can't because you're not objective. See, well, that's what you need, objectivity. That's what the meditation helps you to do. And so now, in the light of truth, you see things for what they are. You see the temptation to be ambitious, to be angry, to overreact, to judge or hate someone. You see those temptations. You see the temptation to buy things that you don't need. See? To get involved with wrong people. You see those temptations for what they are. And you just don't go for them because you see that what they are. And you're just not interested anymore. Or you see the harm that will come from it. You see the harm that will come from being impatient with your children. See, you're resenting your partner. You have vision. You see the harm of it, and so you simply remain patient, and you don't go for the temptation. You don't become angry. You don't become upset. You don't become impatient. You don't see. All these things, they begin to give you, and things like drinking and smoking and marijuana and gambling and gossiping, and these things begin to give you up. They give you up. You just they don't do anything for you anymore. There's no more value in it for you. See, you see how they're harmful, and so you have no need for them anymore. See, and the same thing with food. Your habits will moderate, not overnight, but with time. See, your food habits will moderate. You no longer will need to have the extra, the piece of pie or the cake or the candy or this sugary drink. You just won't need it. Okay, and so you become more settled in your ways, more moderate in your ways. Okay, and your gross habits, your drug habits and drinking and those things will give you up. You become just a regular, natural person. Okay, just a regular, natural person without the corruption that that had entered. And now, see, you have this light because of this meditation. Every day you meditate. It's a daily surrender. It's a daily commitment to wanting to have God in your life. Okay? To wanting to know the truth. See? So it's like, Paul said, I die daily. See? So it says in the Bible, be not conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay, so every day you renew your mind. Every day you refresh. See? By receiving downloading a little bit of light from God. First thing in the morning, and then you go out in the world, and now you take with you that meditative stance. See, that calm, friendly neutrality, that little bit of distance, because now you're a little closer to God. You're no longer as close to people, places, issues, problems as you used to be. Now you have some objectivity. You're closer to God. Okay, and His light has entered your life. You see things more clearly. You see what to avoid, where not to go, what not to do. Okay, and you just naturally do the right thing, not because you have to. You just naturally, see, and it's really a marvelous thing. And the meditation is helpful. You meditate in the morning, a little bit at noon, again in the evening, a few minutes. Okay, to remain centered. Okay, and to maintain that little bit closer to God. Okay, and to receive His light. Okay, so on a daily basis now, you touch bases with God, so to speak. Okay, that's basically what it is. Now, at first, you won't know that God is there, but you'll know by His restraining you, and you'll know by the fact that things that you used to feel guilty and tormented over, then you were sorry for them, but now all of a sudden you wake up and there's no more guilt, and you realize He's forgiven you. See, everything changes for the better. All things work for good. It's just a marvelous journey, and for everyone it's different. It's marvelous. It's wonderful. It's magical. It's magical. Okay? My name is Pastor Rome.